Hello! Welcome to episode 3 of the 25-mile drive. I'm Jake Wilkins, and today I want to talk about those who do and those who do not. Those who act and those who act not. And to do so, and to kind of introduce this topic, I want to talk about a guy that I knew in middle school, and his name was Scotty. I want to talk about his shoes. So back in middle school, when I was like 12 and 13, I was pretty heavy into skateboarding. And that didn't mean I was great. That just means I liked it a lot, and that's what all my friends did. And so we were all into skateboarding. And that's what we did. And at the time, there was this website in this magazine that was published. It was called CCS. And CCS was just a skateboarding magazine. And so it would feature pro skaters, and it was mostly an apparel and gear company. And so they sold t-shirts for all the different skate brands, and they sold shoes and shorts and pants and skateboards, like the actual decks, and they sold all the parts, like the wheels and the bearings and the trucks. And so this magazine would come out, I think, once a month, and get shipped to your door, and you could look through all the newest, coolest stuff. And I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but I do. But this one issue had Vans came out with this new sneaker, these slip-ons, that were covered in smiley faces. These yellow smiley faces. The entire shoe was covered in this smiley face print. And there were probably a group of 10 of us or so that were into this and into the magazine and all that stuff. And when that came out and we all saw those shoes, we all started talking about it. And we all started talking about how we were going to be the first ones to get them and how they were going to be ours. Now, the thing is, there can't be two people with the same thing, right? I don't know why that is the case. It just is. So in a group of friends, there was no way that two of us were going to have those shoes, so it was going to be one of us. And we all wanted them, and we'd argue about it, and we would swear up and down that, I'm going to get them, and I'm going to be the one with them. And then the next guy would say, no, I'm going to get them, and I'll be the only one with them. So this went on for like a week, maybe 10 days, 10 school days, that we would, we'd all be fine. And then that was a really sore subject. And so it'd come up and we'd all start arguing about how, no, I'm going to get them. They're going to be my shoes, and we'd joke with each other and we'd argue and we'd whatever. We talked about it all day, every time we saw each other for about 10 days. Now Scotty was like, I don't know what you want to call him. I don't know what to call him besides like, Scotty was the top dog in the skating scene, right? So he was like the popular kid within the skaters. He was really funny. He'd always joke and had this funny voice that he would do. And anyway, I just remember Scotty. He was the cool kid in the skating scene. And so Scotty I don't remember him ever talking about the shoes. Like, I don't remember him participating in the arguments or the jokes or the fighting about who was going to have them first. I don't remember him ever saying a word about it. He just, and maybe he did, but my memory of it is that he didn't ever bring it up even once. These Smiley Van shoes. And then on like the 11th day of us arguing about this every day, all day, every time we saw each other, what does Scotty do when he shows up we see Scotty walking through the halls, and what is he wearing on his feet? He's got the Smiley Vans on his feet. And, we all went up to him and we're like, oh, Scotty, what the heck? Like, you didn't tell us you were getting them. And, And I don't remember what he said to us, but it's pretty much like, man, well, you guys were all busy talking about it. I ordered them. I ordered them on day one. I ordered them the second that I got that magazine, and they just showed up at my house last night, so now I'm wearing them. And that was like 15 years ago, and I remember this vividly, this stupid experience with these smiley face covered Vans shoes. And the reason that I think it stuck with me for so long is that was a really important lesson. That Scotty saw something that he wanted and he pulled the trigger on it. He just did it. He didn't wait. He didn't talk about doing it. He just did it. And the funny thing was, I think that he'd actually purchased them before any of us started arguing about it or noticed them. So he must have got the issue. I don't know if he got it before us or he got it at the same time, and he just flipped through it and saw them, liked them, and bought them. Whereas we may have not, we didn't care about him until we didn't care about him at all until someone else saw him and then it was cool, and then we wanted it, right? So Scotty saw it before, bought him, and then he had the satisfaction of knowing that he'd already bought him the entire time that we were fighting about it, and he knew that none of us were actually going to buy him. So he just sat by quietly, I can't imagine how like satisfying it was for him to be like, these idiots, like I already have them on the way. They're being shipped to my house right now. And this was in the days of Amazon wasn't a thing yet, or it wasn't big yet. So it wasn't 2-day shipping. It was like 2 weeks or whatever. So he had the satisfaction of knowing that he'd already bought them and that he was going to be able to rub it in all of our faces and have them first, And anyway, that's just been a super important lesson for me to act and to do instead of talking about it. And I'll be the first to admit that I talk a lot more than I act till today. All the time. I still say I'm going to do something and I don't. I say I'm going to do more and I do less. I talk. I don't act still, So it's not like I had that experience and I've been amazing at taking care of business ever since, but it was an important lesson. Scotty's Smiley shoes. There are just so many times in our lives, and today, I have friends and I know of people that, and and like I said, I lump myself into this category, but I know so many people that are achieving so little because they don't do, and they talk about doing, but they don't actually do it. That are achieving such a small fraction of their potential. We achieve such a small fraction of our potential when we are talkers instead of doers. When it's, we'd rather talk about doing something rather than actually do it. And yet that's what we all do. We all talk and we all make comments and we all joke and it's a curse that affects every single human on earth, I think. Except for the very few that break through that and do act and do the things that they say they'll do. And do you think it's a coincidence that there's such a disparity between the 1% and the other 99% of the population of Earth? I'm not one to believe in coincidences. If there's any one separating factor between, the 1% and the rest of the 99, you can call it race, you can call it whatever demographic you want to. You can call it, disadvantages based on where you were born or where you were raised, or the color of your skin, or whatever. You can call it whatever you want that is the generator of this disparity. But there are enough people that have broken through and that have made it to the 1% that had countless disadvantages growing up, including being poor, being their race, where they were born and raised. There's for whatever scenario you could pitch to me that was an advantage for someone else, there's someone that didn't have those things that is now sitting in the 1%, regardless of their disadvantages. And to be fair, it's 2018. I am a white male, and so I should have every advantage in the world. And maybe I've had some lucky. And I'm not successful yet. I'm not. I have a regular job. I work at a regular place. I have whatever. Everything is regular for me. And maybe I have, up to this point, had certain advantages because of my gender and the color of my skin. I don't know. Maybe I have. I'm not going to argue that one way or the other. But what I do know is that I am at a stage where everything is regular and I am average. And the only thing that is going to separate me from being average and being great and achieving my potential is acting and doing more. And acting and doing things better. And that, by and large, is the single factor that separates the 1% from the 99%. It is acting, it is doing, it is not freaking talking about it. It is Scotty seeing something, acting, buying the shoes, sitting by while everybody talks about it, waiting for it to actually get there and happen, getting them, and then walking into school wearing those shoes proudly, knowing that he did it and we talked about doing it. And what's funny is that actually, I didn't think about this until just now. The math actually works out too. There were about 10 of us in that group. One of us pulled the trigger and was a doer and was an actor. 1 out of 10 acted instead of talking about acting. So that's another interesting point. I didn't think about that until just now. And I don't know about you, but man, I have I have enormous ambitions. I have so much that I want to achieve. And like me, you probably, every day you're probably feeling like, man, I'm just scratching the very bottom of my potential, There's so much more I could do. There's so much more I can be. There's so many people that I could help. There are, all these things that I want to do, It's a common thing among humans to desire more and to want more and frankly to have the potential to have and do all those things. I believe that every person on earth has the potential of achieving greatness. And just like in the story of Scotty and his Smiley vans, that's what it takes to achieve and to do and to seize what we talk about wanting to seize and to take what we want to take. It requires action. It requires not talking about it. It requires acting. So today, episode 3, the 25-mile drive, I'm almost home. That's the invitation I want to leave with you. To remember Scotty in his Smiley shoes and to act instead of talking about acting and see how your life changes and how quickly you can reach your potential and your goals. Well, thanks a lot for joining me on my drive home today. I'm Jake Wilkins. I'll see you next week.